Hello, I'm Steve Ledoux, Town Manager here in Acton, and we're talking about some of the warrant articles that you'll be seeing at the special town meeting on November 10th at 7 p.m. at the Acton-Boxborough Regional High School Auditorium. And right now I have Roland Bartle, our Planning Director, and we're talking about Article 2, which asks the town to file some special legislation to increase our number of liquor licenses by 16 full liquor licenses and 6 wine and malt licenses. So Roland, I know you've been dealing a lot with some projects that have economic development impact for the town. Why do we need more liquor licenses?
Well, Steve, I've worked for the town for almost 30 years, and throughout this time, people at public meetings and private conversations have asked many times, why can't we have more full-service restaurants in the town where we can go out to dinner and spend an evening and go out on the weekends, et cetera, et cetera. And for a long time, the only answer was, well, we don't have any sewers in town, and so septic systems are limited, and that's the limitation. Now, we do have an area with sewers in the town now, but there is a problem. We don't have any liquor licenses and available at this point to give out to additional restaurants. If you talk to restaurant owners and operators, they will tell you that to run a high-quality sit-down restaurant, having a liquor license, a full-service license, is essential in order to make the business succeed.
And some of the viewers may think, well, why do we have to ask the state to get more liquor licenses? And just to let folks know, the state sets the number of licenses a community can have based on population, and if you want to deviate from that, it requires a special act of the legislature, or special legislation to be filed. So, Roland, just maybe once again talk about how many licenses we'd be requesting.
Yes, so the proposal is to request 16 full additional liquor licenses and 6 wine and malt in AKA beer and wine licenses. So the full licenses would be for the full service restaurants. Not Your Average Joe is an example in the town now, but there are many others. And the beer and wine licenses are for more of the short, fast restaurant type that Acton really doesn't have that many of. I don't know if does Bueno di Sagno have a liquor license?
I believe they have beer,
so
wine and malt.
Something like
Yeah.
Bueno di Sagno at Kelly's Corner would have a beer and wine license. So the way we came up with that number was we're looking at a major potential redevelopment effort at Kelly's Corner to transform the area into a town center. And a mixed-use town center, and restaurants are a big part of that. And so we talked with private developers who would, who do this kind of work, and they are looking at how much liquor licenses and how many restaurants they would be envisioning having in a new project for redevelopment. And so we came up with about 7 to 10 full licenses that would be for Kelly's Corner, but not limited to Kelly's Corner, but that's sort of the quantity of licenses that we would be looking for. Mm-hmm. And then the other 6 full licenses would be for any other place in town. Mm-hmm. But obviously, there's nothing in the proposed legislation that would limit like 10 to Kelly's Corner only.
Right.
It'd be townwide.
Right, okay. Right. Do you know how many liquor licenses we have available right now? And maybe we should tell people how many under the population we're required
right.
to we have.
Well, so right now, Acton has, by the formula that you mentioned earlier, Acton has 22 full-service licenses and then 5 wine and malt licenses and then some package store licenses. And we're not talking about package store licenses here. Of those, Acton has no full-service licenses at this point to award to any business. They're all taken. They're all spoken for. I think there's 1 beer and wine license that's available right now. So, and Yeah, and so people are basically standing in line. And what happens is, and I haven't seen this in Acton, but what happens is when you have no liquor licenses available as a community, they get traded on the private market. And so somebody who holds a liquor license all of a sudden can really ask for a high price to sell that liquor license to another operator. They would obviously still have to get a license from the town or a transfer of license from the town, and there's a fee involved. But this is above and beyond the fee that you would have to pay, just like for real estate or, and that can go in the tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's not really a good model for economic development if you're trying to create a town center.
Exactly. So do we have a sense that if this passes town meeting and we file with our legislators a special act, how long that process is going to take before we'd actually see more liquor licenses in town?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on exactly when you file it. As you know, there's always, I don't know exactly the legislative terminology for that, but when you get something not done before the holidays start, it has to be refiled again in the next year. And so I know that Maynard, I think, has filed, they have asked for 6 liquor licenses not too long ago, and I think that was at the beginning of this year, and they're still waiting for their licenses, for that process to be concluded. So at least 6 months, possibly longer.
I mean, the only example I can give, and I did give this to the Board of Select, a totally different subject, but a year ago at special town meeting, November of 2014, town meeting authorized us to file a special act to withdraw the police department from civil service, and that didn't actually get signed by the governor until sometime in June. So it was a good 6, 7, 8 months before that happened. A little different subject, but nonetheless, it is a lengthy process.
Right.
Okay, well, appreciate you coming on, and
You're welcome.
Once again, we were talking about Article 2 at the special town meeting of November 10th, and that will be at 7 o'clock at the Acton Boxborough Regional High School auditorium, and we'll see you all at town meeting, and thank you for watching.